this new series on Netflix, Squid Game. It's something that a lot of people are talking about, and if you're not familiar with it is a Netflix program that is based on hundreds of individuals who are suffering from financial distress, who are put together to compete in a game-like situation that is simulated to be able to bring out several aspects that end up in either people win the game, so you win a lot of money, and the funny thing is the money is placed somewhere near on top where people could be able to see, and every time the game continues stage after stage, the amount of money increases. And the key here is people die so that others can be able to advance. So it is a do or die situation. Where does this apply again in real life? When people are talking about success, it is do or die. And these individuals are competing for the same amount of money. And it is funny because it is not the strongest, it is not the brightest, it is not the youngest, it is not the fittest who are likely to win this game, because it has several other games within itself that determine that it is not the fastest or the fittest or the strongest that are going to win, or the ones who are most brightest, but time and chance happens to them all. And what is it talking about? Even in real life, it's also this thing about money. And the funny bit is all of these individuals are desperate enough to risk dying to be able to get this money that could change their lives. So they are all suffering from all these other things, and they are all put together to be able to win this amount of money. So why again is it popular in Korea? I do understand. Now, Korea is among one of the countries that has the highest level of consumer debt. It is also one of the countries where individuals are more likely to commit suicide due to financial distress or the thought that they are not making it in life. So there's a lot of social pressure within the Korean place or the Korean country and the social circles. People actually suffer financial distress and they take subpar loans to high level to finance their local consumption or their consumption patterns, and they end up suffering at the hands of loan sharks, and the situation goes and grows even more dire with time. Again, in Korea is where the whole aspect of social shaming comes along. Social shaming is where Shylocks and people who are seeking for you to pay them their debts start calling the people on your phones, start calling your contacts to shame you. And in an attempt to avoid this shame, people pay up or suffer distress. But the concept of getting money to be paid, money that has been loaned to people through social shaming, started in Korea. So that is why this drama is particularly popular in Korea, where it started and where it gets its own basis to be able to come up with this Korea. But the suffering of financial things suffered across the world, with ever ballooning consumer debt and people struggling and wishing to have a golden goose or golden bubble on top where they can be able to access a lot of money that could change their lives and at the flicker of an eye save them from their financial situation. So it is people who are desperate to be able to make it in their financial affairs, and I think that is where it captures the emotion, because of the hundreds of people they are representing different individuals. There's an old guy who is representing, of course, the people who have gotten old, have not invested, and are struggling to be able to make due, and are even struggling from disease, and wish to have this money to be able to change their fortunes, leave an inheritance, be able to change or pay for high expensive medication to be able to allow them to extend their lives. So that is one caliber of people. The other caliber of people who have gambled away their money, like the main character, they have gambled away their money. They are living a lie. People in their circles, like this guy's mom, thinks that this guy is making it in life. He's doing well, but what is actually happening? The guy is struggling to be able to pay his own debts. He is running away from debt collectors. He is betting to be able to get a win so that he can be able to cure his financial distress. So again, all these characters are placed in such a way that they are touching every person in one way or the other. Another one is a refugee who comes from North Korea to South Korea, cannot be able to sustain his life, and she has a brother, and she's struggling to be able to make money and to be able to find a way of paying an expensive passage from North Korea to South Korea so that her parents can be able to join her in South Korea and she can be able to take care of the brother. So these several aspects of this life are able to touch very many individuals, and they make it very popular. When you watch it, it has a lot of gory details and violence, but beyond the violence, they are speaking to the core of each and every individual, and they are going to catch you off guard in your emotions the least you expect it, because people struggle with the same issues across the world. So what are the financial lessons that we should be learning from this Squid Game? The first financial lesson is that when you are sinking in debt, you become desperate. When you are not doing well financially, you become desperate. When you are wishing to correct a specific situation in your life, you become desperate. And the only way to avoid getting into this scenario of do or die, kill or be killed, use all possible means to step on people or people's bodies to be able to get to the money, only comes when you are not financially stable. So ensure that you are financially stable enough to not be trapped in this whole trap of looking for money in whatever ever means. And financial independence is a key. So the first lesson from this program is financial security or financial independence is the key, so that you are not desperate financially. Of course, the other thing is in the spending. What are you spending your money on? Again, the Korean society is very big on what are you driving, where are you living, what are you wearing. They are so keen on ensuring that they get the social okay from their own peers. So there's this pressure, and this is the same across the world. How many times do people move in certain locations in certain countries because it is the socially accepted places where somebody of your caliber should be living? Why is it the same even in other countries where people take their children to specific schools because it is how it is expected according to their society? It is the same even for this drama, and it brings out the same aspect of the social pressure that causes people to enter in financial distress due to consumer spending and consumer habits that are going to be harmful for all these individuals. Of course, the other thing is people in this series are suffering from a scarcity mindset. They are acquiring money, or they acquire money and spend it so fast. They end up getting to a point where they cannot keep money, they cannot grow money, they cannot invest money. And when you look at the program, the various characters in this series are struggling even in their own personal lives, even beyond the game, to be able to have money, to hold money, to grow money enough for them to be financially secure. So they have certain attachment issues towards money. If they get money, they want to spend it as fast and as much as possible. And this again stems out from our bringing, our experiences, and our own attitudes towards money. And unless we are able to address these issues, money will be coming through us and going away faster than it came. And the faster it goes away, the more financially desperate and distressed you become. Of course, the other thing that we talk about is when people are desperate, they have no moral stand. They have no standards as regards to their morality. And the whole pursuit of money, regardless of whatever standards or despite any thought of consequence, will be able to breed a lot of social evils. Again, there's a lot of hatred that comes when people in one society are too rich while others are stinking in poverty. and they are sinking and sinking and sinking, it becomes an increasingly desperate situation and could even affect the safety and security of the people who are enjoying all this wealth. So again, this whole thing about wealth and desperation to be able to move up the social ladder could be able to create a lot of moral evils, to the point where people do not mind giving up on friendship, do not mind living alone and living selfishly. People do not mind killing others in the pursuit of this money, and the story goes on. Again, it's interesting that this series is set up on childhood games. It is adults who are playing, but they are playing childhood games that have been able to be made to be able to suit this program. So then the question becomes, for you to be able to succeed and to thrive in this game, you also have to have a childhood mentality, because it is either you die from stress, it is either you die from not following the rules, simple rules that we could be able to apply. It requires a certain kind of character to be able to play this game. Again, this translates also to life. For you to be able to succeed, you should be able to apply certain rules in your life. You should be able to apply certain characteristics in your life to be able to help you be able to save, invest, grow, seek opportunities, see opportunities, and to be able to pursue a financial stability. So a certain level of character. And it's funny because no matter how you want to dance around it, the rules are the same. You have to save, you have to invest, you have to grow, you have to repeat to be able to see financial success. And there is no other way around it. Just like in this game, there was no other way around the same rules that were actually set to in this program. The other thing is that there's opportunity everywhere. This movie series shows that there is opportunity everywhere. Opportunity to be able to see and to be able to create a wealth through exploring these various opportunities. But if you are too focused on one direction, you may not be able to see these opportunities. And as a person, you need to be able to open your eyes clearly. It's funny because they never knew which game was going to be played, the next game that was going to be played, so that people can be able to advance to the next stage of the games. But the same games were actually drawn. If you look carefully at the game, the same games were actually drawn behind where the rows of beds were. So the opportunities were in front of them. But because they were too focused on other things, they never spotted and got the advantage in the playing of the game. The same way even in real life. The opportunities are just there. The opportunities can easily be spotted, but you need to stop focusing on the things that do not make sense and start focusing on the things to be able to allow you to spot these opportunities. So the opportunities are there, but you have to be able to sit back, relax, and be able to see them with a keen eye. If things are not working in a certain way, change your mindset, change your approach, and you could be able to spot these opportunities. The other thing is interesting is the characters, like the main character actually left the mother dying, and the mother died in his pursuit in this game to acquire this money. How much does it ring true even in our own lives? How many times have people worked overtime? Have people worked on holidays? Have people worked on weekends? They have forsaken family time and time they could be able to actually spend with their children, with their spouses, with their parents, and with their relatives. How many times have people forsaken friendship in the pursuit of money? So this program is bringing the same emotion because they have the same struggles that people are struggling with. So it is time that you sit back and think about it. You spend all this time to make money, to be able to fill your bank account so that you can be able to entertain your friends and family, but do not have the time to actually spend with them. What is more important, the money that you spend on them or the time that you spend on them? Because remember, just like one of the characters on their deathbed, when you are on your deathbed, what will matter is not how much money you have in your bank, but how many people will be by your bedside, how many friends, how many families, how many children will be at your bedside as you die and breathe your last breath. So that again is something that ties the whole story, that brings about it. In our pursuit of money, in our pursuit of success, are the things that are the most important also in the focus, because money is good, but it is not everything. And this is what this series is also talking about. Of course, the other thing is you also as an individual need to know when to draw the line. When is enough enough? Like the main character, when there were left two of them, the only way he could advance is in killing the other second individual who was his friend. But he had drawn the line that I would not kill you. I will not do this to you because you are my friend. He drew the line. But many people in their pursuit of wealth and having money have no lines that they have drawn. They can do anything, they can go anywhere, they can be able to do it at the cost of, like, money becomes their god. They idolize money so much that nothing else matters. And how many people are in the same situation? How many people do things, how many companies, how many countries are putting the same rules or doing the same things in the pursuit of money? African countries, for example, like Zaire. African countries like Zaire are constantly being exploited by other countries and suffering in poverty because these other countries that are exploiting them have not drawn the line. Where does it stop? Do I continue buying gold that has been mined out of the backs of the sweat, blood, and tears of children? Or should I just make money and forget? So they don't draw the line. And this movie brings out the same scenario. People have to get to a point where they can be able to draw the line. But people do not draw the lines towards where this is the money I want, but this is the line that I cannot cross. Of course, the other thing is interesting is people are betting on their lives in this game because it's either you make it or you die. But people are willing to take that bet. Our lives is money so important in people's life that they can be able to bet away their lives? Or is the pursuit of money so important that they are willing not to be able to enjoy other things? Because remember, even poor people are not necessarily the saddest people. Actually, it's funny because the countries where they have the biggest suicide rates per capita are not actually the poorest countries. They actually the Scandinavian countries where people are richest. There are actually places like South Korea where people are significantly richer than others. That means that having money does not guarantee you happiness. But people are pursuing all other things to be able to get this money, but it does not guarantee them the success that they want. Remember, even one of the characters, the person who brought the game or had the idea of the game, he had to enter the game to be able to see whether he could be able to make friendships and experience something, because all the money that he had did not matter. So in the end, the same movie tells us that what matters is not the money, because at the end of the day, have money or not have money, happiness is not dependent on the money. And these are the parallels that the same movie is bringing about. Of course, the other thing is knowledge is power. The individuals who knew about the game in advance were able to get an advantage. The individuals who knew how to play a game despite not being the most powerful, like the tug of war, it was not the strongest team that could win, but it was the one that knew a skill that could be able to use to be able to win the same game. So knowledge is power, and knowledge will be able to help you cut down the time you spend to pursue your goals, could be able to cut down the costs you incur in the pursuit of something, and could be an advantage that you can be able to use. So acquire knowledge, and acquire knowledge. It will make the hard work of spending your tears, spending your energy reduced, because you have this additional knowledge. And that is why universities in developed countries are always being funded by the government. Why? Does the government have so much money to be able to give them towards research? It is because research and development is a key pillar that will be able to see any country get an edge over other countries. And in the same breath, the same universities but in developing countries are not funded. And because they are not funded, they do not create new knowledge. And because they do not create new knowledge, these countries have no knowledge edge over other countries. They have no innovations they can talk about. They have no knowledge and skills they can be able to talk, that they can be able to brag about on the international stage. So knowledge is power. Of course, I could talk and talk about this movie, but in a nutshell, it is capturing the emotions of people. It is capturing the aspirations of people. It is capturing the attitude and behavior of people when a lot of money is placed before them. Then at that moment, it is either they kill to be able to get to it, or they pursue every possible means, good or bad, to be able to win this game. Of course, there are so many things that I could talk about that I could be able to critique, but from a financial point of view, these are some of the things. I'm sure there are many, and if you have any of the lessons that you may have seen or learned from this